Welcome to From the VC's Bookshelf, a podcast from TBR, the College System of Tennessee, the state's largest higher education system. In this series, we examine how we might re-envision the work we do and how we work together as we move into a post-pandemic world. Please join our host, Dr. Heidi Leming, Vice Chancellor for Student Success, as she leads a live discussion with industry experts and leaders throughout our system.
The Way of Tea and Justice by Becca Stevens is the featured book for our Fall 2025 podcast series. Tea is a great metaphor for how men and women alike not only reflect on their life experiences, but how we move forward in spite of hardships. It's also a global drink that connects everyone together, even though there are many differences. Tea comes from the same plant, but factors such as how it's processed, where it grows, and its growing conditions combine to provide a variety of teas that differ in taste, smell, and sight. Author Becca Stevens makes the argument that when one thinks about how tea is served, the intention is the essential element. As such, throughout the book, not only is the historical perspective of tea and how it influences culture and society discussed, but also how the individual interacts with tea as a form of reflection and meditation that's brought forward as a central element. So we're going to do something a bit different in this series. First, I'm honoring the women leaders in TBR by using the metaphor of tea to reflect on life challenges, lessons, triumphs. And yes, I'm going to be sitting down with each of my interviewees with a cup of tea and their own teacup that has its own story that can be shared with our listeners. So in this activity of drinking tea together, we're going to describe the differences in the tea and the personal stories and reflections of the TBR women featured in this series. But first, I do want to recognize why tea is part of this conversation about women and its place in helping the listeners understand how it connects to the themes in the book around finding peace and justice. For this first podcast, let me share a little bit more about the author, Reverend Becca Stevens. Becca is the founder of Thistle Farms, a not-for-profit women's social enterprise based in Nashville, Tennessee. The organization began in 2001 as a part of a residential community called Magdalene that stands in solidarity with women who have survived lives of trafficking, addiction, and prostitution. Thistle Farms has grown over the years to be a business enterprise and now manufactures and ships almost 500,000 products around the globe each year, and now has been replicated in over 20 sister programs across the country. In Nashville, the Thistle Stop Cafe opened in 2013 with a simple idea. Whatever they serve would be good for the earth as it is for our bodies. It's a welcoming kind of tea house that fosters fellowship and provides healing that the tea provides. So when you come into the cafe, you see a collection of teacups from around the world hanging in a sculpture from the ceiling. With this background in mind, we're going to begin today's conversation, and it's a special treat for me to be able to talk with the author of our selected reading, Becca Stevens. Welcome, Becca.
Thank you. What an honor that you're using the book to get to talk to amazing women.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just shared a little bit about you to our readers, but I did want to invite you to share a little bit more about yourself and the mission of Thistle Farms before we get started.
Absolutely. So I'm basically as close to a Nashville native as you can get. I moved here when I was very little. We moved from New York, my mom and my 4 siblings and my dad, and then he ended up being killed that year. So my mom, he was killed by a drunk driver. So my mom stayed in Nashville. She was a 35-year-old widow with 5 kids.
Wow.
So this became home, and I learned all the wonders of Nashville. I'm now bewildered driving around trying to remember where I am. I'm like, what is this? I can't even recognize the gulch. I mean, anyway. So this is my community. I married a musician. He's a singer-songwriter in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, wrote probably some of your favorite country classics that you know. He wrote stuff for the Chicks like Cowboy Take Me Away. He wrote stuff for Rascal Flatts like Bless the Broken Road, big songs in our collective knowledge. We had 3 sons. One of them is a musician, Levi Hummon. The other 2 are both artists in town. So, we're a Nashville family through and through. I've also been an Episcopal priest serving the Vanderbilt community for many, many years, in addition to what I do here as the founder and president of Thistle Farms.
Tell us, our listeners who aren't familiar with Thistle Farms, because if you're in Nashville, you definitely are aware of Thistle Farms. But if you're other parts of the state, you might not be aware of what the mission of the organization is.
Yes. If you're not familiar with Thistle Farms, please look it up. I mean, we are a global movement, like you said, for women's freedom. We were founded, the first house opened in 1997, and we've just been committed to being a community that remembers that women heal and women can take their rightful place as healers in their communities. Over the years, we are trying to be witnesses to the truth that when you invest in women, you heal community, and when you rape women, you kill community. We are the largest justice enterprise run by women survivors in the United States, with the largest network of long-term free beds. We have almost 700 beds that are 2 years free for women who are survivors across the country. We have about 30 global partners now. So we serve thousands and thousands of women a year now through this beautiful network that started right here in Nashville 30 years ago with 5 women.
I love all of that, the outreach and everything. We're going to dig in a little bit more on some specifics as we talk today. I love it. So I'm asking all of my interviewees to bring a teacup to the conversation, and we're drinking a tea together. So first off, your teacup. Describe for the listeners what I see in front of me.
You know what I think is, when you're going to ask this question to all of the amazing leaders and women that you talk to, this is going to be the sweetest part of the interview. Mm-hmm. Usually it's the story that's the sweet part, and teacups, the idea is the reason we, have it at the cafe is the teacup as a symbol, is that everybody has a story. And that's the sweet part of us, right? The story that we bring. So I can't wait to hear the stories on the other podcast, but mine is a sweet story. It's from my son.
Okay.
And he bought this set of Japanese teacups. It's just plain green with a dragonfly both on the saucer and on the no-handled tiny cup. Mm-hmm. And he did it in honor of me opening the cafe. So when I first started to dive into tea and understand the ceremony and the rituals, that's what he and his littler brother gave me for Christmas, was this. So it's my favorite because it's my children.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Period.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth, though? It's like, that's enough.
Mm-hmm. What tea are we drinking?
So this tea is a moringa tea, which is an herbal tea. So I think technically it's a tincture. But, people say herbal tea in the U.S. So this is made of the earth. Moringa is like the miracle tree. It's grown in the tropical parts of the world. You can see this is where moringa grows on this. If you had visual, you would see this beautiful display of women farmers. But we harvest this with a group of women called the Moringa Madres near Guadalajara, Mexico. Mm-hmm. The woman who runs it, has had very, very harrowing experiences with a cartel, and she's a landowner now. She produces this tea. This tea was featured in the New York Times. It says, move over kale, that moringa is the new superfood, that this helps with skin, memory, detoxifies, adds 45 different vitamins or whatever. I mean, it's like a superfood. It's amazing. Okay. But you can see it's a gold color.
Yeah.
The color of the tea itself is just a beautiful pure gold, and we add a little bit of lemon.
It's very refreshing.
Yes, and it'll make you brilliant and beautiful.
I need to drink more of this.
I need to drink more of it too. I got to remember to drink it.
And we got this here at the Thistle Farm Cafe.
Yes, we did.
If a listener's in the Middle Tennessee area, you can come have this super food-like tea.
If you have access to the internet, you can have this tea.
That's a little bit more effort than just coming to the cafe, though.
No, all you have to do is go online, Thistle Farms, and order moringa tea, and it will come to you.
Oh, okay, there we go.
That's what I'm saying. If you have access to the internet, you can have this tea at Thistle Farms. But I'm saying that people don't only drink this. This is how all this stuff works. However you can absorb moringa into your body, like so many essential oils, great. So we also have a bath salt, with moringa that you can soak in it. We have oils, body oils that have moringa in it, so you can rub it on your skin, like any way that your body can absorb this nutritious plant. And the reason they call it a miracle plant is that, that's how you cold press the pods to get the oil. You grind up the leaves to make the bath salts. You then pulverize it and then, soak it, and it becomes a tea. Like, there's everything. You can use every part of the plant.
Yeah. So if the book wasn't enough to sell me on all the varieties of tea and the medicinal purposes, you have just sold me on this tea for sure.
Nielsen, I'll get you a free bag.
This is
fantastic. First bag is free for any listener. Just write it.
No, this is great. I've had the experience through recording of this podcast with the different teas that there are some teas that I just really don't like the flavor of.
Like what?
So there's a black tea that I got from London.
Mm-hmm. Is it too rich?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's the one that's buried in the ground.
Could be.
God, that stuff is so rich. You have to be so careful with it. But there's also, like, the other thing again is tea has a story. Like, if you're in Darjeeling and you drink a Darjeeling tea, you have to like it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in Champagne, France, and you're drinking champagne, it's like it becomes special. These teas that are particular, you actually get them from that place.
Yes.
And it becomes amazing. But, like, there's no tea grown in England. The idea of English tea is hysterical.
Well, yeah, there's a history there. Yeah, we have to talk about that. Well, and so that's a great point. So our listeners, one of the episodes in this series, I interviewed 2 presidents who traveled with me to Japan.
Why didn't you tag me on that podcast?
Well, we didn't record it in Japan. We just traveled there for work. No, I mean, there's legitimate reasons why we were there for work. Well, we had matcha and we did a tea ceremony.
Yes.
Because I knew I was going to be recording this.
You.
I know. I didn't even know I could interview you before that point.
That's like a dream for me. I don't say bucket list, but that's a dream.
Oh.
That's a super, like that. You had a tea ceremony in Japan with matcha.
It's a modified tea ceremony. It's for the tourists, right? But I had matcha. I'm not a fan of matcha, no.
You don't have to be a fan. Nobody cares if you're a fan. It's like a tradition, and it's this whole thing of, like, it's like saying, well, I don't like the bread they served at communion. It's not about the bread.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It felt like I was drinking a soup. It was very thick. Yeah.
Listen, I agree with you. And nobody drinks tea in a tea ceremony because they're thirsty. I mean, you just get a little bit sick.
You're right.
I think that's the whole thing is you got to go. Let's not breeze past that because you didn't like the foaminess of the tea. That's amazing.
Well, and it was an amazing experience. And sometime I'll be happy to talk with you about why we were over there with our students who are studying abroad and getting that great experience globally. So yes.
Great.
It's number one place that our students want to go right now is Japan. We have a wait list.
I need to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep
All right. So, yeah. So there are themes in the book. I want to dig into some of these themes because I think this is going to be great for our listeners to hear your perspective. And again, I've read this book now 3 times. I have highlighted things. I mean, it really is. If you were to read the book and drink tea at the same time, it really is a meditational moment. You're like reflecting on your life. And I'm just at that moment in my life, I guess, where I'm reflecting on
I'm so midlife. Glad. I'm so glad because not very many people read that book.
Oh, really?
Well, I think more people read Snake Oil than they did The Way of Tea.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why, because I thought tea was going to be super popular, but I think people think of it as it's so old.
Oh.
Like grandma stuff, and it's not.
No, it's not at all.
And that's the thing is like, oh my gosh, it's this huge, huge global power and industry. But you tend to think of it like young people don't participate or justice-loving people won't participate, and it's just not true.
Anyway. No, I would encourage our listeners to check it out because it is a very kind of spiritual awakening that you can have by the words I think that you have in this book. And I think this generation would absolutely resonate with this because it is about finding purpose in life too, which I know a lot of people are really struggling to find. So let's talk about this. So one of the themes is the path to finding oneself. I'm going to have a quote here from the book. The way of tea teaches us that if we pause and take the time to look closely enough, it is possible that all of us can find ourselves in a good cup of tea. What is in the cup is less important than the tea offered. It offers freedom in time and space to feel comfort and let our mind wander. Do you think you've found yourself, because you spend a lot of time reflecting and just that's part of your job. So I was wondering this. Do you think you have found yourself?
I think that's a great question for all of us to ask ourselves often, because I don't think it's a one and done. That's a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lost and found is a beautiful winding path, kind of like the Caney Fork River cutting through Tennessee. It's like, oh, now I'm over here, now I'm over here. So you can find yourself wandering.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you find yourself static. You find yourself along the way, and then you lose yourself along the way. So I think what I'm saying is the times where you even have the privilege of asking if you found yourself is a time of reflection, which is the goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? In my mind, at least, it's the gift, not the goal maybe, but the gift is for me to say, where am I now? And is where I am the right place that I need to be?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I need to move this place in this way? And so it's not like, I'm lost forever. It's like I'm on a journey. But this summer, I spent so much time writing and reflecting, and I love that. It's like I don't want to go once you know where you are. I found yourself, let's say, in this part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to return back to where I was. I don't mind going somewhere new, but I don't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. And I don't know if other people feel like you can't go back the same way. If you're on a journey and you find yourself anew on that journey, I don't want to go back.
Right.
That's what I'm learning about myself.
That's great. You mentioned in the book that others a lot of times help shape kind of the path we're on, particularly as you're younger. Your parents are a strong influence on what your path is. So I guess I'm again curious examples of how other people have helped form you on the path.
For sure. People known and unknown to me. I was with a group of older women in Cashiers, North Carolina, doing a luncheon last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about 150 women from all kinds of denominations, walks of life, professions, mostly retired women. And they were like, well, how can we help? What can we do? And what is it we need to do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have so done it in probably ways you don't even know. Like, I think so much of us, we don't realize like how we are shaping the next generation without even knowing it sometimes.
Mm.
But like I think about the women who donated to the Episcopal Church Women's Fund that got me to Sewanee to go to school. I mean, most of them probably didn't know that I would never have gotten to go to college if it wasn't for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think about the all the people who, not just teachers, but people that, coached, or people that had afternoon Girl Scout classes, or, all those people that had a big influence that kept you in a safe space were huge in my life. And I just think sometimes women especially undervalue how they do shape the next generation. So as a way of answering that question, I want to remind people that they probably don't even know all the kids they helped. But for me, it was always groups of women. It wasn't necessarily one person, but it was like this organization or this group or this, community center that had dance classes that I could go to. There was always these things that provided for me. And, it reminds me in my life what I hope to be living for other people, and how I was shaped is that I don't think the world needs more heroes. Like, people don't have to be the TED Talk and I've got the big solution and I'm going to be the hero of your story, Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
It is, what we need is good hosts. People that can set the table, serve the tea, provide the time and the space so that people get to be the hero of their own story. People don't want you to be the hero of their story. So there wasn't necessarily a hero that saved me. And I'm not going to be the hero that saves anybody else, but I want to be a good host so that extraordinary young women get to be the hero of their own story. And that's kind of how I think we best love each other.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, one of the things that you talk a lot in the book about is the courage that it takes to start something new, a new venture. You talk a lot about how you had this vision and you had to work through all these pieces of getting Thistle Farm Cafe, going, and just all the complications of that. And I love this quote because it really does, from the book. Is that maybe ignorance is a gift. Lack of knowledge at the beginning of a journey can offer us courage to start new ventures. Living a dream is much harder than talking about a dream. And yeah, if we knew all of the trials and tribulations we'd have to go through before we start a journey, it might deter us from starting that new venture, right? And so I love that because it is about courage to step out on this path that's unknown.
Yeah, and I think that's what it takes, is that it's just step out, right? It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to finish the journey today. I just have to take the first step today. And I think, so many people are worried about the end before they take that first step, that it becomes unimaginable to take that first step because it's like, oh my God, there's 1,000 more after that. And so it's a gift to kind of be scattered and ADD. You just go, yeah, I just took a step.
Mm-hmm. and you got everything going. I mean, you took one, like you said, one step at a time. It's still evolving though, too, right? Yes. The work is still evolving. Talk with our listeners about kind of what the future is looking like potentially for this work.
It's interesting that this is a time when we're talking a lot about the idea of campus, that we don't have a beautiful unified campus. And so that talking to the Tennessee Board of Regents is a good time to go like, what does campus mean? Because y'all are scattered everywhere, but you have campuses and there's multiple locations. But we really want to be more of an experience for people, not just on the residential team, but so that people can make their own candles. They can come in and not just buy the candles manufactured by the women, but participate in that or really understand the story behind what we're doing and making it more almost like the EJI experience, the Equal Justice Initiative, where we welcome people from around the country. So the idea of campus right now is huge for us.
That's great.
The other thing is I'm working, more and more of my career has led me to the economic side of loving people. Whether it started with housing and then it went to starting these justice enterprise businesses. And I say justice enterprise because it's not social enterprise. It's a mission with a business, not a business with a mission. So these justice enterprises where we take smaller margins, invest heavier in training, there's all these differences. And now I'm realizing it is really about, it's really just about, if I love you, I have to be concerned about your economic well-being. So how do we engage the market? So the more I'm engaged in economics as a form of love or a love economy, like I'm writing about it, I'm thinking about it, I'm talking about it, and it's making me really excited about what the future is if we could really not only be seen as like really great do-gooders, but really great business people.
Yeah. Well, and you've obviously made an impact on Nashville and now even globally. We talk about that. Can you talk more about some of the outcomes you've seen that are continuing to drive this work, or even why people are coming to you saying we want to be, we want to start a sister organization or whatever it might be?
Yeah. Some of the drivers are that we've really focused on networking. So network is our big thing. So we're not trying to build one house a year. We're trying to educate 100 people a year who are leaders who can start their own houses. And we give away everything, all the blueprints, all the ways of organizing. We do, once a month Zoom calls. We help establish boards. We provide seed money. We really want to help launch independent organizations that are sister organizations. That's how we describe them. It's an aligned network. And the same on the global side is we're building this network. So we're not just building one sister community in Rwanda. We're working with leaders all over and developing this shared trade network. So the idea is that the focus is networking so that a lot of people get to do the work in a shared environment and shared authority. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too, because that connects with another theme of this book. So a lot of people might be aware of free trade organizations,
Fair trade.
or fair trade.
Free trade is awesome. That means
Yeah, why am I saying free trade?
Probably because of all the tariff news right now.
But Thistle Farms has a shared trade focus. And I would love for you to describe to our listeners the difference between fair trade and shared trade.
Yes, I'm happy to.
Okay.
And I will say it all stems from starting tea. It all started from beginning to delve into the tea industry and realizing that fair trade, especially in the tea industry, is a myth. That you can be a full-time tea picker, live in a dirt rondavel, and beg for clothes for your kids. That what the market, fair trade has done so much in so many areas, not in all areas, but it's what the market deems fair.
Okay.
And what the market deems fair does not lift people out of poverty sometimes. So what we try to do is, and so it doesn't matter. Like if fair trade says it's 3 pounds for a pound of tea, that's the fair trade. If there's 14 then links in that chain before it gets to a retailer and people are paying $45, that doesn't matter. The person that picked it never changes, no matter how much the price goes up, no matter how many people are involved. So I believe we can do better than fair. And I believe that the most devalued person in the entire marketplace is the producer. I've seen it over and over. So how do we increase the value of the producer and reduce the links so that women who are working actually make living wages and can invest in their own communities? And the way to do it is shared trade. And shared trade does 3 things. Shared trade starts at the retail price and guarantees the majority of that price goes back to the original group. So in other words, if you're paying $40 on the retail for tea, that influences what you pay back to the original tea picking group. Or if you pay $45, a percent, you don't get to just add $5 and keep it.
Right.
Second thing is the networking, so that all groups that are shared trade partners are in communication with each other. They communicate with each other. They can collaborate on products together. They can collaborate on marketing, on shipping, and then that reduces costs. It increases best practices, financials. A lot of these groups are small, struggling groups in crazy, beautiful parts of the world. And the idea of like, oh my gosh, there's 14 groups that are now sharing an accountant makes a big difference in how they ship or whatever they're doing. Of course, now all of the tariffs are making it even more difficult because now it doesn't matter even if you're shipping less than $800. There's still tariffs applied, so it's different. And then finally, there's this commitment to education and training for the people who are running these smaller businesses. So we actually invest in those businesses to increase training and expertise in the areas. So there's an investment on our part to invest in shared trade partners.
Yeah. There's some great parallels here between what we do as a system with education. So we very much are about not only meeting industry needs, but making sure that students are entering fields with livable wages and being trained the education to do that, right? And so there's a lot of good parallels there with the work that you're thinking about globally with women, but also what the TBR system does too. We are community colleges, we're technical colleges, but we are in the communities.
I love it.
To change what's happening in that community at the local level.
And you're doing it on such a bigger scale on the local level. I mean, with so many folks that we probably have so much to learn from you, but it's a beautiful thing to watch this network grow with especially young entrepreneurs. One's from Africa, one's from Peru, one's from Botswana, Peru, the Himalayas, Nepal, and they're all coming together and learning how to support each other. So it's and you have all of that right here in Nashville.
Yeah.
All those same places.
Yeah.
I think it's very parallel.
Right. Exactly. Well, and the importance of community, you were mentioning that. So you've got folks from all over the world working together in collaboration. But again, in the book, you talk a lot about kind of this metaphor. Water is a simple thing that all of us have. But when you put tea, whatever tea it is, it transforms into something different, right? And you can kind of reflect on the different inputs there, but also like how you prepare the tea and what that looks like. So community building has been a big focus for us. For a student to feel like they belong on campus, they have to feel a sense of community. Faculty have to feel a sense of community. Staff have to feel a sense of community in order to do this work with each other and, again, transforming lives through education. So my question is really like recognizing this complexity and kind of how you harness that collective power and the potential to do good. You've got this much bigger global perspective. It's happening. Can you just reflect on that a little bit? Like, what is it that really makes that work?
Makes what work?
The community building across different...
Oh, what makes the community building work? I do like the idea that, people find their place in the circle, in the community. Like, how do I find my place? That's the first thing about building. So how do you find your place? Like, how do you give people both enough structure to have a seat and enough freedom to find their own way to that seat? Because, I don't want to be forced into that chair. I'm not going to feel like a part of a community if it's like, you sit there, you say this, you do that, and this is how you're going to do it. And it's like, I'll do it if I get a college credit, but I'm not going to feel a part of it. But how do you structure it enough so there's enough seats and they're comfortable and they're welcoming and all of that? So it's a tricky thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why for me, there's a few ways we do it, but one of them is ritual. And again, I'm back to the tea. The reason it's so special is it's water in a leaf. How special is that? Not very special, but wars have been fought over it and people love it. So what is it? And it's this ritual. And I think for us in our community, we have, rituals that help people find their seats. At Thistle Farms, we light a candle every day and we say we light this candle for the woman on the street and the woman trying to find her way home. And we're all aware that there's hundreds of women on our waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like we need to find our seat because we got to keep doing this work so that there's space for that next woman coming in. I don't know all the rituals that you guys have in the community colleges, but you've made rituals so that people do find a seat and do feel that way. The other thing is that I think in community building and structuring and freedom is that you have to be, more than anything, you have to start with welcome, not judgment. And I know that that's not necessarily the tone always in our larger culture right now that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to, whoever is coming through that door, to remember that I have to start with love and welcoming versus I can tell they're not going to feel the same about this, or look at that. They've definitely had work done. Whatever the judgment is.
Right.
I want to start with something else to welcome in. So that's welcome. It's welcome. It's ritual. And then the last thing I think really is an articulated common mission that we have to have together to really go somewhere we have to go. A mission statement has come to be this statement about where we stand and what we believe in or something, but it was never that. A mission statement is what you go out with. This is what carries us to the next place, this common mission that pulls us into a new place together. And I think if we have that and are dogged about it, about this common goal to move ahead together, then that unites us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, we want to take our seats and keep going. Let's do it. And so that's my hope, is that we have ritual, hospitality, and common mission.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, we certainly develop mission statements and strategic plans and other things as colleges, but maybe taking a step back and really thinking about what that means, right? Like you said.
Because people, oh my gosh, I've been around the sun way too many times to sit through another iteration of people saying the same daggum thing in a mission statement and just picking over and over and over words.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't affect how we live or how we move together. What I want is how does this help me move in the world? I know it defends me for this is what I'm saying we believe, but in the end, who cares and who reads them? Nobody. So how can we use this as it's literally marching orders. How do we use this as our marching orders?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think the common mission means. But maybe marching orders is too militaristic.
I think it doesn't resonate as well with people.
But what is something that means marching orders that's not marching orders?
Yeah. All right. Everybody knows what that means. So
forgive me for my sad use of the language.
No, it's good. Well, and rejuvenation, the process of rejuvenation is another central theme in this book. And you were mentioning how you were traveling a lot this last summer. I understand you're maybe working on another book, maybe. I don't know. Can you talk a little bit about what's coming from you in terms of some of that reflection?
Sure. So my oldest son got married this summer. That's one thing I did is I presided at my son's wedding. But I went around and preached at old, small chapels so I could be in spaces to write and reflect. And so I'm writing a new book. It's called For Love or Money. And it's about, for all of us, trying to figure out what a love economy looks like. Like, how do we build a more loving economy together? And there's beautiful examples from all over the world that I use as stories. There's wisdom from some of the great justice leaders. And there's just common sense that no matter what economic model people put out there in the world, they're forgetting the biggest thing we value and cherish and treasure, which is our love. And that drives economies and it drives how people spend money. So let's say, ask what's love worth in the marketplace and see how we can remember that that's part of the force of love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that because it's a play on words there. I didn't mean to do that. I love the idea of that because it's gotten we're very consumerist, like consumer in our thinking of the things that we want, but you're breaking it down to that basic element.
Well, I realized it this summer when, my son wanted to do a wedding in Key Largo, his destination wedding. And then we started getting all the bills and I'm like, only because I love him am I doing this. I don't even think, I think of things like the wedding industry. That's a whole industry built on that. But also all kinds of companies now know that they have to have a story to go with it. Not just Patagonia and Ben & Jerry's. All kinds of companies know that they need to have this sustainable part of it. They need to have this justice part of it. And they also need to have a loving part of it. Like, how does love change a workforce? How does it change product development and research, and common value? Companies need to see that love can even be evaluated and calculated on bottom lines.
Mm-hmm. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I can go a lot of different places, but I know that there's a time limit for a podcast too. So we're kind of coming towards the end of our time. So I have been wrapping up each podcast with a quote from your book. So indulge me with letting me do this. It's a kind of a final thought. The work doesn't end, but that thirst for something more is part of the human condition. It's something still a bit out of our reach and something that will fill an emptiness that lingers somewhere between our heads and our hearts. Tea is a symbol of how we can love well, even if someone does not accept it. Tea poured out for others and ourselves is the outward and visible sign that we're attending to our interior life, as well as serving our neighbors as ourselves. And so I appreciate the stories that you've shared today. Our listeners will listen to some other stories from our presidents because there's a sense of vulnerability that many people have in sharing these stories and these reflections about the paths that they took throughout their lives and just how they moved through challenges. And so I charge all of our listeners to think about sitting down with a cup of tea and reflecting on your life, but also listen to the stories that others have as we move through this series. And thank you for sharing your insights.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear all the stories coming in from this season.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of From the VC's Bookshelf, brought to you by TBR, the College System of Tennessee, powering the state's economy and changing the lives of thousands of graduates, starting successful careers each year. To learn more about upcoming book selections or to register to attend discussions live, visit tbr.edu/bookshelf.